You know how I share the link to your fucking Discord? I don't know how to do that. Join the Patreon? No. You know how I share the link to your fucking Discord? I don't know how to do that. Join the Patreon?
Hey, Doji, could you go ahead and click on that YouTube link and see if you can hear me?
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. YouTube. I just shared it, so I hope so. All right, go ahead.
Alright, am I coming in? Hello, hello.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. Yep, there's a delay, but I hear it. I just shared it, so I hope so. All right, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. It's like a 20-second delay.
You're all fucking technological now. Oh, perfect. Let me share that. You're all fucking. Because I don't give a fuck what these people say about me. I'll share it with every goddamn buddy.
There you go. I appreciate the shares, man. It's going to be really difficult for me to communicate with people in the Discord that come in, so if it gets too crazy, I might just have to mute the Discord chat. But stream number 1, we're going to figure this out.
Hold on. Let me check. Yep, I hear music on your YouTube.
Alright, I turned myself up a bit. Let me know if this is any better.
Yeah, louder, me. If You can turn yourself up. YouTube's quiet.
Alright, I just went ahead and turned it to 100%, so let me know if this is too loud.
Those sounds quiet. Hold on. Let me. Oh, my volume is way down. Go ahead. Say something else, me.
Alright, here we go. Another test number 2 with volume all the way up.
Perfect, mate. That sounds good.
Nice, nice. Alright. Good stuff. I want to be like just sensitive enough on the mic where I don't pick up my kids running around upstairs and don't pick up, you know,
¿Cómo está?
computer fans and stuff like that. Say what's up to Mr. Shifty here. There's about a 20-second delay between the Discord and the YouTube here, so you'll probably hear this late, but what's up? I think everybody that wants to be here is kind of here. You know, we posted it in a few servers and we're live on YouTube, so I guess I'm just going to start getting into it. So we'll start with BTC, the weekly candle close here. We closed right up against the channel heart line here, all the way back to August of 17, where that heart line started. And what happened here is we tested it, came up with a bearish engulfing, and we went for another thrust, tapped it again. So what's nice is this last candle close here, at the beginning of the week, it was pretty scary looking. It looked like a bearish engulfing. You know, it looked pretty bad. But now, since it's closed like that, it's more of an indecision candle. So we go to smaller time frames here, like the 3-day, and you can see sellers are just unable to get it past this like 91,600 range. Right about there. So on the 3-day, we got overbought, and then we had confirmation of your HSI coming out of the overbought territory on your indicator. Posted a bearish engulfing, but then ended up not being able to take out any of this right here. Ultimately, we haven't been able to take out the terminal bar of this crab pattern. Until we can actually close a decent bar under this terminal candle, and maybe even under the XA level at 86,000, I am not looking for 76K or 66K like some people are saying. I just don't think it's going to happen. There's too much buying pressure from Sailor, there's too much buying pressure from ETFs. There's just too much buying pressure. And even if we do see that move down to 86K, what I expect from there is your indicator, your HSI indicator, is going to get low enough where it's going to print one of these arrows, but it's going to be green. And what that represents is basically it's going to be coming out of a oversold situation. And once you get one of those after a failed pattern that's this size, like this goes all the way back from June. This is, you know, June, July, August, September, October, November. And then we have a 30 bar rule here to figure out
what is HSI?
What we're going to do here. And basically this harmonic has to figure out what it wants to do within 30 days. And it's not breaking down. Usually these patterns just immediately go at least a 45-degree angle. Now, Doji was asking, what's HSI? So HSI is your harmonic strength index. So it's kind of related to RSI, but it tweaks it just a little bit. So what your HSI is going to do is it's going to tell you when there is legitimate oversold and overbought situations, and then confirmations, which are the yellow dots. The yellow dots are confirmations. So the way that one of these arrows generates is you have to get your HSI in the oversold territory, and then it's got to come back below this red line in order for that to print. So in order for this arrow to print, you need confirmation. And then for this dot to print, you need 2 more bearish candles after the dot or after the arrow to get the dot. So at that point, you can see your HSI gets all the way below the 50 mark. So once it's below the 50 mark, you're looking to the right for a potential short entry. However, in this case, we can't do it because RSI is failing to get below the 50. It's kind of doing like a complicated W shape right now. And in order for this dot to be validated, it has to go retest the base, or sorry, the top of this candle where the HSI dot came in. So in order to actually confirm this bearish pattern, we need to go back to 106K. So even if it is long-term bearish, it's short-term bullish, because we have to go back to that 106K mark to retest that dot to confirm the validity of buyers being exhausted and sellers starting to take control. We haven't done that yet, and we also haven't broke down yet. So we are consolidating after a big move up, which is a good sign of strength. On the daily, you can see we already got our arrow and our dot. And I'll take away my line I drew here so you can see the HSI lines created
Can you
by the
explain
software.
where you got that previous crab meat?
And then, so you had your dot print here, and this red line is generated by the harmonic software. It's anchored to the top of this candle. And then you go over to this dot. This green line is anchored to the bottom of this candle. So that is your HSI support or resistance level you're looking to touch. You can see here, it exploded past the bearish HSI line, retested it, and we were off to 108K. And then we never even got to it, and then we never even got to it again. Posted another dot, and then we tested the new HSI line. What we really want to see now is RSI and HSI get above the 50, and then we're back to 106K. Pretty much just like that. So as far as this crab goes, I will say I am cheating a little bit here with the software. It's nice. I don't have to draw my own patterns anymore. I don't have to have any guesswork anymore, because the software detects these patterns for me, and I don't even have to draw them anymore. So as soon as there are valid anchor points to start drawing this pattern, the software will let me know by this point. as soon as we break this midsection on the C to D leg of the harmonic, that's when it'll let me know that it's pending. So you can see we got a T2 symbol right here. So this crab, or sorry, the T2 symbol was actually off of this bat back here, so it keeps track of these things over time. In order to get that T2 symbol, you need to complete a type 1 movement, which it did. So, you know, it kind of bounced around a little bit, hit the XA again, and then it completed its type 1, and you can see that by the T1 and the $sign there. And, you know, like half the time it'll come back, test the XA, maybe go to the hop, and do a type 2 return, and other times it'll spill all the way through and just really perform. It's all about trade management at this point, and like, you know, following up your stop and everything like that. But to get to the point, it hit its T1, and then it came back eventually and re-tapped that XA level right here. So once you see that T2 again, you're looking for your next arrow or dot to go in at. This one got invalidated because it was posted, and then when it went for the retest, you know, obviously, bam, it just went right through it. So that dot was invalidated very quickly, and then we never even came close to coming back to it. The reason I think we're really not going down to 76K is because we posted 2 more dots since then. And I know I'm putting a lot of faith into these dots, but there's a lot that needs to happen with price action in order to make one of these dots happen. And then when the price action comes back to the line that the dot creates, and you look at your indicators, you can predict with like 75-80% accuracy where this thing is going to go. And that's good enough for me. What people don't realize out there in, you know, the new trading world is you cannot win 100% of your trades. Losing money is inevitable. You just have to manage your stop losses and your entries, and be sure you get in at risk appropriate areas, and then, you know, set your stop losses to something that you are comfortable with losing, you know, whether that be a couple percent or even 20%. It just depends on what style trader you are. However, the lower risk you take, the more likely you are to compound your gains over time. So we are looking for low risk entries, and that's exactly what these lines provide. You can see that market participants regarded this red line as support. So at that point, you are looking right for entries near this point. And if you would have bought again at 94.5, that would have been a good reward to risk opportunity based on what's happened in the past, and you would have been able to ride that. And if you would have used, you know, trade management and, you know, a trailing stop loss, you know, you probably would have been stopped out somewhere at 105. So you would have went to 94 to 105. That's a pretty good trade. And then you come back and you can do it again because of previous data. So I really like that these patterns can be interpreted either way. If it's a bearish pattern and it doesn't immediately perform and it does stuff like this, that's a pretty bullish outcome. You know, it just like in the regular traditional crypto market, if you see a head and shoulders and it just doesn't perform and it ends up, you know, just taking off instead, a failed head and shoulders is actually more explosive to the upside than a regular head and shoulders is to the downside. False breakdowns or breakouts have major consequences, and the same goes for these harmonic patterns, especially when they're on the daily, weekly. Like it takes a lot to generate something like this on that time frame. Like this is 6 months of price action. So the reason why I was so bullish the other day in chat and I was buying everything is because we came back to this dot for that HSI test, and I went heavy right there. So with that being said, if I'm wrong, my downside is 0.6% until I know I'm wrong. 0.6%. My upside, if I'm correct, and we continue to the cup and handle target that we all know about, you know, it depends on if you see it on log scale or linear. If it's on linear, you know, your target was about 122, which is 30% upside. If you're on log, it was closer to 150, that's 60% upside. So you're risking less than 1% for a 30 to 60% upside, and it's a no-brainer at that point. Like, you can't get much better risk to reward than that. And that's how everybody should strive to trade, because, like, you know, people ask me in situations like this, should I buy, should I sell, where's the price going? I'm like, man, we need to hit some sort of consolidation point. You know, all I can say when we're right here is, let's see if we can complete this pattern first and then go from there. And that's really it. If you want to figure out where we're going next, you know, we would just take our crab pattern, and instead of the 1618, which is where it stops here, you know, your next target is the 2618 after this pattern decides it wants to resolve after it failed. So again, if you go off the fibs instead of the other analysis, you got a 44% upside for a 3% downside. So still, just going off the fib support and resistance, that's really a risk. That's a very low risk trade. That's very easy to pull off with good risk management, and you know, you're not going to lose your butt if the trade goes south and this thing ends up dumping to 76K, and for some reason you didn't set a stop loss, for some reason you're super leveraged or whatever. I mean, you really shouldn't be super leveraged way up here. You're out in outer space. The place to get leveraged longs is, like, you know, down there. You're like way down there. And again, it just depends on your risk tolerance. Yeah, a 5 to 10x is one thing, but if you start looking at 50 to 100x's, you know, even to get to that red line there, you're going to be negative 200% by that point. So you just got to trade accordingly. You would rather stay in and win several trades at 3-5x than win one at 100x, honestly, because you're going to lose so many times trying to snipe that 100x entry that you're going to end up getting rid of all your capital instead of actually making some gains in the market like you want to. So here, open up the Discord here, see if there's anybody chatting. I'm willing to take anybody's requests in Discord as well, just to kind of get the first stream going. If anybody wants me to take a look at any assets on the daily and weekly time frame, just post it up in the Discord, and we'll go from there. But yeah, as far as Bitcoin goes, I'm positioned pretty heavy in the 91, 92K area, and I am waiting for higher numbers. You know, if I'm wrong, I'll lose a little bit. And at that point, we'll look for the next arrow and dot, probably down at 86K. You also have one of your HSI bands here at 84K currently. These are pretty well respected as far as oversold and overbought conditions. You know, you can just look through the history here that usually when it gets to the bottom ones, it's in a pretty oversold condition, and you can start looking for some sort of risk-free entry at that point. And yeah, we'll go to XRP from here. So XRP, obviously a huge performer. We're still up in crazy la la land. You know, if BTC wanted to go to 76K, you know, just in theory, you know, this asset being up 480%, just pulling a fib here, your natural market correction, you know, that's 96 cent XRP. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's still 61% down from here, and it's just something to think about. Like, people wanting BTC to go to 66, 76K, I don't think they realize that the XRP they FOMO'd into as it was going up from $1 to $2. If BTC goes back down to 76K, you're round tripping, man. You might as well wait to buy XRP again at 48 cents, legitimately. But XRP is one of my favorite alts this cycle for sure. We were looking at it throughout the bear market. I picked up a bunch in this area here because I originally thought there was going to be a reversal in 2024, but we never quite got it. We ended up getting a lower low, but I got that on spot, so I didn't worry about it too much. I did let go of it. I did let go of it at about 220. Just felt irresponsible to hold anymore. Looking at the weekly though, pretty freaking promising. You got almost a rising 3 methods here. To be a true rising 3 methods, the last candle needs to take out, you know, the high of that first candle. But what's nice is after this bullish engulfing, you got a confirmation candle in the form of a hammer shape, and that's, you know, it's a weekly candle. That's a powerful thing. Your lowest weekly wick in the past couple months was $1.90. Pretty bullish. Pretty bullish. Your RSI is still floating way up in bullish territory, up at 80. Your HSI came back, had a nice complicated test of the HSI at the 50 level. It looks like it's rounding. We did get a oversold arrow, but we're not gonna get any dot confirmation. We're not even gonna get a dot until we get a bearish engulfing candle that closes about here. So we need to close the weekly at or below $2 to even make a dot, and then we got to go retest it to figure that out. So it just doesn't seem like there's enough time in the market right now with you know, who's coming into the office, and you know, Trump being so pro crypto, and just all that, the storm of the ETFs. It doesn't make a ton of sense for Bitcoin to go down that far right now. You got Michael Saylor posting, seems like 3 or 4 times a month, oh, I could use another dot on my chart today. We all know what that means. It means he's buying the next day or that night, or already did, or something, you know. Take a peek at XLM. XLM on the 8 hour was my bread and butter. I came to this thing late. I wasn't paying attention to it when it was down at the hop at 33 cents. I originally was in XLM quite a lot thanks to Coinbase and the staking and all that, and it being so fast in transferring money around. So luckily I was in it down here. I sold a lot of my XLM up there. And honestly, I was looking for like 23 cent area to get back in, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen, and that's why I didn't buy here. I kind of thought that, you know, how long this butterfly was taking, that we were going to drop out of the range. You know, usually you give these patterns 30 bars, like I was saying earlier. 30 bars is right there, and it ended up spilling below the hop. So like textbook would tell you that's a failed harmonic pattern. But then you go to your RSI here, and these red and green lines that intercut the blue lines here, those are bat action magnet moves. So as soon as that line is pierced, it's looking to come back and retest. So as soon as that line turns green, so you can see how RSI left here and the line turned green. It's looking to retest it again, and as soon as it does, it turns blue again, and then it leaves, it's green. It's looking to retest again. We hit that, and all of a sudden the green line appeared again, so I was waiting for the next bat action magnet move, and for a second here we got it on the 8 hour, but then price went just high enough where it didn't indicate, and then we printed a dot. So as soon as I saw that the bat action magnet move didn't indicate when we recovered in that zone, I went heavy on XLM. I'm in it pretty heavy at 39 cents right now, and we got our dot, we got our HSI retest, and we're confirming it as support. We went up and retested the old resistance, and now we're making a higher low. Yes, we have 7 hours till this candle close, but it's only 30 minutes old and it's already bullish engulfing, and we got a bounce off the 50 RSI zone. That's always a really good sign for continuation. Your HSI is above 50, that's a good sign for continuation. All three of your bearish candles, the last ones, all low volume, ain't nobody selling. It'd be really cool if this 8 hour candle closed at like 44, 45. It'd be a rising 3 methods, and you would see this butterfly fulfill its tier 2, which either way, even if we get a slight pullback, I still think it's going to fulfill its tier 2. Everything's there. You know, your pattern completed, your software told you that it's looking for a tier 2 based on how the harmonic was set up. You can see this sun icon here. Originally the pattern completed here, but then at this point the software recognizes the same pattern but larger, so it just deletes the old smaller one and puts this one over it. You get your dot, you got your tier 1 hit, your target 1 hit, you take profit, you make a higher low off the XA, you get your arrow, you get your dot, you get your retest. It's all there. It's all there at that point. Yeah, it took longer than it should have, but now it's all there. So I'm going to be riding XLM up pretty good ways. We're going to take a look at total 3 on the daily. Look at all those arrows and dots. If you knew everything about the software, you would know that that's kind of ridiculous. Like that is ridiculously strong. You don't see that really ever. From the very top, you had a 50% pullback, so you know, healthy enough to really shake out some players here on XLM there. So take a look at altcoins now. You guys remember that channel from back in the day? Oh man, that was beautiful. Turns out it was all part of back to back to back patterns. Deep crab into a Gartley into a bearish crab. We'll go back up here. So this red line up here is your old all-time highs. That's crazy how well it was respected. You know, early December on the daily there, just wick, 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 wick. And then, you know, you had your dot printed off of this bearish crab. And originally I thought alts were just going to keep ripping, but it came back and we actually fell below the HSI. Well, it's supposed to be a resistance, but we finally fell below it. But then what did we do? We got a big hammer candle and then a oversold confirmation arrow with a bullish engulfing. and then we came back and we made a higher low, and then we broke that HSI resistance, came back through it, but yet again made a higher low. And ultimately, the only reason we have all this BS down here is because it's altcoins. If it was any like major asset with a large market cap, you wouldn't have seen it go below this XA line where this terminal bar completed. What I'm really liking about the altcoins on the daily here is that your RSI and HSI are trending upwards. You had a complex test back in December around Christmas. You had a nice W bottom on RSI, and then you had more consolidation with another W bottom here. The thing about these complex formations on RSI and HSI, like if you ever have a W shape or an M shape with a bunch of squiggles in it, there will be an impulsive move back to it. And
what I mean to be rude, but with the
what I mean about like impulsive is like it has to go just bam, like right there and back. So one of the guys wants to look at February to June 21 for altcoins. Let's take a peek here. We'll scroll back here. Alright, let's see. He says February to June 2021. Whoa. February to June, so let's go ahead and like that. Do you mean, okay, kind of like the a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern there. Sort of similar to like what you're seeing on BTC and all that. But the nice thing is about head and shoulders, it can be nice, it can be evil sometimes. It's not really considered one until it breaks that line. And this one's kind of on an angle too. So we never broke the head and shoulders to classify it as a head and shoulders on that mark. Like if it was a real one, you probably, let's see, maybe right here would have been your stopping point. But one could argue that your stopping point would have been here, a full-on 886. Let's go back to present day here. Let's see what's what. Yeah, it's just not the same, in my opinion. It's just not quite the same. You got a pretty clear support there. Yeah, you have a lower high and a lower high, but you have divergence on your oscillators along with oversold confirmation. And honestly, the only way that this is going to go down here is if BTC ends up going to 86 or whatever, which it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I could eat my words. Don't get me wrong, I could eat my words, but it just doesn't look like it. Price is too strong. Let's see. Live chat is disabled. That's a good question. I don't know how to enable that. I'm gonna have to look into that first stream, Let's see. see if I can figure that out real quick. Edit, no, customization, live chat. Oh, I'm not allowed to do live chat on my first video. Alright, I gotta stream for an hour before I can do live chat. Huh. Well, alrighty then. Alright, let's see, any more assets that people want to look at as far as crypto goes. I know a lot of people are on the Ethereum train. Let's go ahead and look at Ethereum. Not one of my favorites this cycle. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that from me already. You know, it's going to make you gains. It'll do well. But you really would have assumed with Bitcoin blowing above its all-time highs, you would have assumed at least Ethereum would have tried to get above its all-time highs. Instead, on the weekly, that looks like distribution, man. It just looks like distribution. You have a super high spike in your RSI and then overbought confirmation. Then you have a lower high, and then you have a lower low, and then you have the same high with overbought confirmation again, and then you have a lower high on your RSI. So not only do you have weekly bearish divergence, but it's not even above its all-time high yet. So, like, I don't know. I can't be surprised if it comes back down to test the angular again. I've been saying for a couple months now, like, it would be great if Ethereum just puked to 2,800 and got it over with so we could all buy it again, you know? I just don't feel good about buying Ethereum here. Like, you look at the weekly chart, and that is an evening star, and that is a bearish engulfing. Yes, we're at this HSI line, but your RSI and your HSI is trending down. You're below the 50 on your HSI, and you're making lower highs and lower lows on your RSI. And you remember me talking about the complex, the W shapes and the M shapes in the RSI? This is going to want to come back and test. So RSI is going to want to go a little bit lower, I think. I mean, unless Bitcoin just rockets from here, I don't see Ethereum just rocketing right now either. It has a little bit of work to do on the weekly for me to like it. On the daily, we're starting to get there. We got our confirmation dot finally. You know, freaking finally. It's been 2 months since our last bullish confirmation. Came back, tested it, hammer, and now we're bullishly engulfing off of it. So that's great, but let's get RSI and HSI above 50 before I'm excited. Otherwise, it's literally just going to ping pong off the macro 786, which is this blue line, and then this old HSI resistance. So let's get over that first, and just looking left, like, you see big bearish candles, like, come on Ethereum, let's get going. Ever since Vitalik made the damn thing unmineable, not only did he ruin my mining operation, but he ruined Ethereum in my mind. Now it's just kind of the mother of all shitcoins to me. I think Solana or BNB is the play if you're gonna go for a heavy altcoin. Speaking of which, let's look at Solana on the daily. Where are we at here? Soul. I'm Soul Man. I've had this for a long time and eyeing this asset for a long time. If you're a part of the old Discord, you were watching me buy Solana for $8. $8. Made one of my most life-changing trades on Solana. Let's zoom in here a little bit. We got a big old bat pattern on the daily. I'll get rid of some of this. We got another one trying to print. You remember me saying as soon as you get more than halfway past that middle point, the pattern will form. So we got more than halfway past the middle point, so there's a pending pattern right now. So it's telling us that the market is wanting to make a more complete retracement yet on Solana. So let's take our fib here and we'll go to our 786. 173, 886, 164. We never got our bullish dot yet. We never got our confirmation that this bearish pattern hasn't completely failed. We haven't hit T1 yet. We've had no indication that we're not going to hit T1 yet. And now we have this pattern wanting to complete right at T1. So if you're not in Solana yet, it's kind of hard to do anything until you see an arrow and a dot in this 160, 170 range. You really don't want to, the risk management isn't there. Let's say you buy 5x at 190 and then you end up riding it down to 165. That's, you just lost 100% of your money, pretty much. No bueno. We don't want that. We don't like that. We don't like losing everything, right? At least over half of it, you'd end up losing. And that's just hitting tier 1. Imagine if BTC, nobody knows for sure, imagine if BTC does go to 76K. Bet your ass Solana's going to 147 or lower. It could go back and test these points of the old harmonic, 119, 110. That's extreme scenarios though. We're not going to talk about those yet because there's no data to really back it up. Solana on the weekly, how'd that go? Bearish engulfing, cool. Win what? Oh yeah, cup and handle target in the mid 300s. It'll happen eventually. I think we gotta, like I was saying, I think we gotta come back to 165 yet. Even the weekly is screaming that. Usually these harmonics play out at a 45-degree angle from their conception here. Man, the auto does not do well on this chart, but we're gonna size it up here. So 45 degrees to tier 1. I mean, just look at how well that's playing out. You went up to try to test it, you wicked it, you bearish engulfing it. Solana wants it, just right here, somewhere right in here. Give me a signal that we're going back up. Hard to manage risk right now in Solana. If you're into gambling and shooting dice or whatever, yeah, buy Solana right here. It could go up or down. But me personally, I'm waiting for oversold confirmations down in the 160s. H-bar, people like H-bar, right? Let's go to H-bar. I wish I knew my alphabet. H-bar, there it is. H-bar on the weekly. Jeez. Oh my god. This thing was crazy. I originally had some H-bar at 4 cents on spot. Held it on Coinbase and I got rid of it at about 20 cents. I really didn't think we were going to go past this wick really. So I sold mine right about here. I'm not complaining though. I sold it for like a 250-300% gain. And I am I'm not really looking back right now. I made a lot on H bar. On the weekly, it's been pretty uneventful. We fulfilled this bat pattern. We got our dot at near all-time lows. You can't ask for much more than that. You get your dot at all-time lows, and then you come back and you test it. You had your false bearish breakdown here, then a bullish engulfing, and that bullish engulfing brought your RSI and your HSI above the 50 mark, and then you were off like a rocket. This is why I am so dead set on these 50 levels on the RSI and HSI. It is so important to see what these indicators do at that level. If you can confirm a candle close above or below the 50 with previous data, man, you're really cooking. You end up getting actions like this. As far as the daily goes, how are you going to manage risk? Total gamble. Could it go up another 40 cents? Sure. Could it go down 25 cents? Sure. I mean, let's just take a look at this thing realistically here. We'll pull a fib on it. 786. Everybody knows that's not crazy. What would you do if you bought H bar for 27 cents and you watch this thing do a common retrace that market participants are looking for to re-enter, and you were the guy that bought up here and watched it go all the way down and you lost 75% of your value? Imagine putting 10K up here and watching it go to $2,500 over the course of a couple weeks. Yeah, sure, you could just hodl, like they say, and hope it rides back up, or crypto decides to F you. That's why you put stop losses in place at levels of risk management. This is no place to be managing risk on the daily. If you want back in H bar, look for oversold confirmations at least, under the 50 at least. We haven't even came back to test this old HSI dot. We haven't even printed a new HSI dot. I'm not saying I hate H bar, it's just so freaking up there in la la land. How are you supposed to actionably take a trade on a daily chart that looks like this? You can't. There's no value. There's no value right here. You're paying an insane premium. Good asset though. Maybe I shouldn't have sold all of it at 20 cents, but it's what it is. Made a lot of money, can't look back, can't have emotion about trades. That's how you get in trouble. Doge, let's look at Doge. People like Doge. Doge is kind of the same way. You're up in la la land. And this is how I like. I really like to see bearish patterns blow out like this, because we're seeing BTC on the 3-day with one of these patterns, and we're not going down. Doja happened immediately because you got short squeezed and short squeezed some more. But BTC, it's too heavy of a market cap to squeeze quite like that. I don't think we're going to see that until like the true mania comes in, maybe this spring or summer for Bitcoin. But the point is, you got your oversold confirmation, you hit the T1, so the pattern was technically fulfilled, and then you blew that HSI dot right out of the water. You just went right through it like a hot knife through butter. And then when you finally got overbought, you didn't even come close to retesting any of those important levels, like the hop or the terminal candle or any of that. You got your HSI confirmation, you had your morning star on the daily, and then you had your up thrust, your bear trap with RSI and HSI divergence, and quite a lot of it. That is class A divergence on multiple indicators all day long. That should have been your sign. get rid of your Doge. Like it just went up hundreds of %, and now it's showing bearish divergence on the daily. Maybe you should sell some, right? Right. Yeah, let's continue looking right here. You got a hammer candle, or a pin bar candle with some decent volume on that lower HSI band right there. That's a good sign. You know, you got a oversold confirmation arrow, but no dot. In fact, we got a overbought confirmation before we printed a dot. And there's no real indication here that Doge is done dropping. You know, you have your distribution, and distribution. Just look at these, look at the green candles too afterwards. There's no volume. Where's the volume? Nobody buying. Nobody's buying Doge at 33, 35 cents. Again, could it go up? Absolutely. If BTC keeps going up, tide that lifts all ships, absolutely it could keep going up. But the traditional technical analysis in me, man, if I was looking at entering Doge, I would be looking at least going back down 20 cents, getting a dot. Like and if it never goes there, fine. I'll miss out on the rest of the Doge run. Fine. I really don't care. I mean, I wrote it from 4 or 5 cents to almost 40 cents. So I was pretty happy with that. I was able to allocate that into other trades, and that's just what you got to do. You just keep finding the next good setup with a good edge. You know, right here, there's no good edge. There's no good edge. Down here, where I have this orangish brown box, that's where you have the edge. You know, you're at crazy lows and buyers keep defending the level, and they keep defending the level, and they keep defending the level. Your RSI and your HSI are going up over time, and then you're off. This is the time to, you know, you're looking for stuff like this to allocate your money into. Stuff like this, that's 400% up in 3 months. This is not stuff that you go heavy into. Yeah, sure, you can scalp it on low time frames or whatever, but if you're looking to swing trade Doge right now, honestly, there's no real action to take. There's just none. You need to wait for it to come down and actually have some value. You're paying a premium for it right now if you're buying above 30 cents for sure. Let's take a look at BTC dominance, and then we'll go into Celestia and Aave. BTC dominance. You had a kind of a stark double bottom back in December, kind of indicating that altcoins were going to perform, and they didn't overly perform. It was more like, you know, they raised a bit, but what I'm looking for BTC dominance for altcoins to run, like I want to see target 2 fulfilled on this crab. This crab starting all the way back from December of 2023. It had some spillover, but guess what? It created another crab after that crab pattern, and then we got our oversold confirmation. We got our up thrust with divergence. We had triple divergence on the daily. So we had high, lower high, lower high, and then high, higher high, higher high. That is triple divergence on 2 different indicators that should have told you, hey, maybe my altcoin that I've been holding so dearly is going down 50%. You know, maybe it's time for that correction. Maybe I should sell a little bit. In that euphoria when your portfolio has been hitting high after high, and you know you've never seen so much portfolio money in your life, that's the time to sell a little bit. Like when you're in that psychological state of euphoria, that's where you should start feeling irresponsible for holding much longer, and you should be looking for reasons like this. Like it was so perfectly opportune, you know. But you didn't really see that for Bitcoin, even though this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and you saw that big move. Like it's the dominance chart, so you're dealing with percentages instead of like numeric values, so it's a little bit different. But like what I'm trying to say is, with your altcoins, when you see stuff like that, it's time to sell. And BTC dominance, it looks like it wants to keep going down because you had that event, and then you have a lower high, and then arguably you just made another lower high. You got a bearish engulfing there and a wimpy little no volume candle. Yeah, your RSI and HSI is above 50, but look at the trend. You know, it just seems like it wants to complete down at the T2 at 53%, and then you have this historic level, you know, from history. That would be really great. You know, you see BTC go to that point, and then altcoins are really gonna fly, and that's what we all like to see. So we can allocate our altcoin money back into other trades. Take a look at TIA. TIA wouldn't want to be a. I like TIA a lot. There's some really good patterns here. We're just taking a look at the weekly. There's not enough data to form a complete pattern, but we did get an oversold confirmation, and then look what it's been doing. Yeah, it's been dancing around. You had your bearish breakdown, but then you know you pass the sellers the ball, and the ballers that you know that the sellers just stood there with the ball, and they're just standing there. Oh, what do I do? I can't. What am I supposed to do with this? And then, you know, buyers take the ball back, make a higher low, make a higher high, make another higher low, while your RSI is increasing. You know, it's good signs. It's good signs. And then you have a hammer here with some volume at your very last weekly candle. Take a peek at the 3-day. HSI dot forming on this candle, so 2 days and 23 hours to confirm it. That's good. Got a nice W shape going on your RSI. We like W shapes that trend upwards when we're looking at stuff like this. You want to see that. Your HSI had a nice double bottom right there. That's kind of hard to see, but had one hit, another hit, came out of the oversold area, posted your arrow, and just like that, you got your bearish butterfly on the 3-day, and it's completed, and now you're getting bullish signals. That's what you want to see. This means sellers got their way. Now it's time for buyers to come back. Sellers got their way for that pattern. Let's go back to the daily here. This is my favorite on Celestia right now. You got back-to-back-to-back patterns. You got a big shark pattern, which is a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 correction. The shark prints into a bearish butterfly, which completed, like we talked about. And the bearish butterfly prints into a bullish shark. This sun icon here, this shark originally completed on December 19, but it bled out. You know, we had a dot and an arrow for oversold confirmation, but it kept bleeding out, and then the software picked up, instead of a 786, that it was an 886 shark. Or sorry, not an 886. It's what is it, the 1214? The 1202 is what it was. No, I'm sorry. Speaking out my butt here. It's the 1.130 fib is what it ended up hitting. These shark patterns can have an endpoint all over the place. So we ended up going for a deeper shark, which if it ends up holding, means a better reaction. So after we completed the shark, we got above that HSI support level. We tested it, we came through it and closed above it, and came back and we tested it again yesterday's candle and then closed above it. And actually yesterday's candle closed above the terminal bar, which is at $4.91. Now this next candle is very important here because this is exactly what I like to look for explosive movement. You see how the HSI is creeping right on that 50 level, making higher lows, you know, for the last few weeks. You know, price action's been kind of sloping down, but RSI and HSI has been sloping up, and then you have, this is just good stuff. I like this. And this is why I bought a bunch of TIA in the mid fours. I remember posting about it, like I was buying. And the reason is your risk management's good. You know, you put your stop loss just below this low, and you know, if you're on spot or less than 5x, that's pretty good risk management. You know, you're looking at from where I bought, a 5% drop versus a 98% reward. Or if we want to, you know, if once we really get into the bull market, I don't see why we wouldn't fulfill that original shark pattern and at least go to $12, which is 180% gain on spot. You know, if you have a 5x, you know, you're looking at 1,000% almost. And if it ends up going really crazy and hitting target 2, that's a 338% gain from here. And this is exactly why, you know, you sell your Doge when it's 400% so you can enter trades like this. You know, it doesn't have to be Celestia, it doesn't have to be Doge, it doesn't have to be whatever, it can be Fartcoin. As long as it has good technicals like this with very good risk management levels, take a shot at it. It doesn't matter what the white paper says, it doesn't matter what the news is. Like, I don't freaking watch the news anymore. I don't care about any events. I don't care when Sailor buys. I don't care. You just look at the chart. You just look at the chart and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Yeah, Celestia, good stuff. Good stuff. I expect stair-stepping from here. Aave. Let's go to Aave. Aave on the daily. You had your bearish crab. And just like all the other ones we've been covering lately in this bull market, it exploded out the top. You never got your Aave's powerful. After this pattern, you never got an overbought confirmation. You never got an overbought dot. You never got an overbought arrow. You never got any of that. It never got so overheated that the software generates an overbought signal. Instead, what does it do? It generates hold on, let me just measure this. It generates an oversold signal after going up 318% in 163 days. Just kind of let that sink in. Let that sink in. Powerful. And you know, you hear stuff. I know I say I don't care about the news, but you can't help but hear stuff that, you know, Trump is acquiring this. It's pretty obvious. There's no pullbacks. Somebody big is buying this. Composite Man is writing his signature all over this, and he is signing that he is buying. You know, he is buying. And the fact that we failed this dot, you know, that's okay. We're still so far above that hop level. You know, let's wait for the next dot on Aave. At least if you're gonna try to go long and like catch the rest of the ride, wait for another dot and retest somewhere around 240. It looks really good though. We're gonna go to the weekly. And just like that, things can change. On the weekly, you have this crab. You still haven't gotten your oversold confirmation yet, and it still hasn't technically fulfilled T1. So this is still indecision. This is still digesting. This hasn't given any sort of typical harmonic trader any sort of bona fide signal whether it's going to play out up or down. And since it's the weekly, you have to really consider this. What would be nice, like we were talking about on the daily, for it to go down to 240 or so and make a dot. The thing is, on the weekly, in order to get, like how this HSI and RSI works, in order to get a dot or an arrow on Aave, that's a long way to go. Like on the weekly, you're going to be hitting target 2 before you get an arrow or a dot. Which, again, BTC pulls back to 76K, yeah, you'll get it. You will. But, we just keep blasting forward on BTC. Which there's a really good argument. I'm going to flash over there real quick and go down to the 6 hour. I've been really liking the 6 hour for BTC because we completed this bat pattern. We're up in La La Land, and it's hard to justify taking longs up in La La Land. People at 100K, 105K, oh, should I buy now? Should I buy now? Well, I mean, this is your best argument. 92, 95K here at the 5th time buyers have defended 92K. At the end of this bat pattern, you have your oversold arrow, you have your oversold confirmation dot, you have your retest. Like, look at the first candle that retested it. Sellers were like, screw these guys, we're gonna ruin their day. And then buyers not only rallied all the way back to the open, but then closed higher than the open. These are good signs. Test, 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 test. Like, how many more times does the 6 hour need to tell you that sellers suck? just throwing it out there. Like, how many more times does it need to tell you? This thing wants T2. We're gonna throw up the 45-degree angle, just like that. This thing wants T2, 101K, and like I was talking about earlier on the weekly, the HSI dot on the weekly, that's up at 106. Weekly wants 106, daily wants 101. Pretty hard to ignore. Hard to ignore that we're at least not going to like bounce up to the top of the range. Now, do we blow out the top of the range and continue higher? Maybe. We'll have to see, right? Do we break the heart line of the weekly channel? Maybe. We'll have to see, right? Do we go down to 76K? Maybe. We'll have to see, right? But right now, data is suggesting 10 to 15K upwards on Bitcoin. Data would suggest that altcoins have a bit of work to do yet, but they might not be able to have the chance to put in that work if BTC ends up just stair-stepping up from here. And that's the thing about trading, is you have to be okay with stuff, running without you being in it. You have to be okay with not getting the entry you wanted. You have to have no emotion about it. You have to be ice cold about it. Because as soon as you start getting emotion and chasing and buying where there's no risk management, that's where you start losing your money. And obviously we're all here to make money, and in most cases people aren't doing this just to make a quick $5-10 or whatever. People are doing this to change their lives, and that's what I am making this Discord and this YouTube channel about is being able to identify and execute on life-changing opportunities, and if they end up not playing out, how to lose as little as possible. There's two major rules in the market, really, and the first one is that money flow goes from the patient, or from the impatient to the patient. You can think about that for a while and what all it entails and the psychological effects of everything that brings. But simply said, the money goes from the impatient to the patient. The second rule of the market is you don't lose money. It's not making money, it's don't lose money. And if you are going to lose money, you better make it as small and manageable as you can. And if you can't do that, then what are you doing in that trade? Ask yourself, what are you doing in that trade if you can't manage risk? But I guess I'm going to leave it up to you guys if you want any more assets looked at or any questions about harmonics, or how I look at these indicators, or how I do my trade management, or whatever. Feel free to ask away. But that's kind of all I got for right now. I feel like I'm just going to start repeating stuff if I keep going. Suppose I could babble on about harmonics for quite a bit longer, but I don't know if you people want to listen to that right now. Good, let me know. Enjoy some of these house beats. I can kind of go over the strategy too on how I entered XLM, like what my thought process was, because I was telling you guys how I missed it down here, because I was expecting it at 23 cents. But you know, you see the oversold arrow on the 8 hour. So that's when it's okay to go to the 5 minute. And what happened at that oversold area? You know, let's go. This is the 5 minutes, so bear with me here. So what happened in that oversold area? Gotta keep going back, keep going back. We're only on the 5 minute. See, this is how ridiculous it is. You guys see on the 8 hour, like, you know, that was only a few candles ago. Let's go back to the 8 hour here and get a more exact date. Okay, January 9. Let's go back to January 9 on the 5 minute. Okay, so this is January 9 on the 5 minute. This is where your oversold confirmation happened on the 8 hour. You know, you were selling, and then it bounced back, and then somewhere around this point you would get your oversold arrow on the 8 hour. So what else is here? What else is here that we can't see right now because the software is not generating it? You got a bat pattern, 886. What happens after the bat pattern in the 886? It spills over and you get another oversold confirmation, and then you finally get your dot over here. So once you see these patterns, that's your indication to look right for an entry. It could be within a few bars, it could be 100 bars. It really depends on when these dots show up and what price action does at these dots. So, you know, you put your dots, your HSI support right there, and then you look right for an entry. So you buy all of that and you set your stop loss just below it. So, you know, you're buying at 39 cents with your stop loss at 38.5 cents. You're only risking half a cent, but look at the move you're capturing. Look at the move you start to capture. You know, you get in at that level on the 8 hour while looking left at this butterfly and what's happening down here. You're setting yourself up for a target 2 move on high time frames, sniping an entry on the low time frames. And that's what it's all about. Maximum risk management and maximum profit. Can't see the date at the bottom of the chart. Honestly, it's probably my OBS. This is literally my first day, and I just happened to be born yesterday, using OBS, which is a streaming platform. So it's interesting. Like, I have to put everything in a window, and then stream that window, and then be in Discord at the same time, like if I want to talk to people in voice. But I think I might just stay out of Discord unless it's text chat while I'm live streaming. But yeah, I'll play around with OBS a little bit more. I'm also thinking about doing this a lot more, maybe 2-3 times a week, and streaming to YouTube a lot more. I'm also thinking about getting a lot better mic, so I sound like I'm a radio announcer. I'm sure you can probably hear background noise, and my voice is probably kind of tinny. I'm literally using a webcam microphone here, but I've got a $400 microphone in my Amazon cart right now, and my finger's hovering over that button. So I think I might set up a light or something, like an RGB light behind me, and maybe even start streaming my beautiful face while I'm doing TA for the people on YouTube. Just try to make a thing out of it, make a community out of it. What I really want to do with this is I want to, for lack of better words, I want to minimize people getting wrecked. I see so much of it, and it's bad decisions too. It's like gambling addiction almost. Like these people with families and things to take care of are literally betting on price action instead of doing technical analysis. They just bet and hope for the best, and they end up getting absolutely wrecked. And the only way to put a stop to that is spread the word about risk management and teach technical analysis, so you yourself and other viewers that come in can find their own edges and make their own decisions. So when I'm not streaming or I'm not there to answer a question, people can be like, this trade doesn't feel right. How am I supposed to manage my risk from here? You know, stuff like that. It really only takes a few questions, and you can figure out if it's a good trade or not. Yeah, that's really it. That's really it. Just spread the good word, the gospel of TA. Yeah. If you guys liked it, it would be awesome if I could get a like and subscribe, and maybe just post the video around. It would mean a ton just to get some spread here. Yeah, I appreciate you guys, and that's about it. And I will be signing off, and we'll see you next